Yo, what's up, everyone? This is Terry with College Football Stop, bringing you another show today. Got a lot of stuff to get into, man. Like I always say, it's February 9th, so getting through this winter, hopefully getting into spring. I can't wait for spring football. It's only like a month away before they start practicing, and then we'll get to the spring game. Hopefully, you guys are going to it this year. I heard something about they like raised the prices $3 or something like that. So it's $10 to get in for regular admission, and then they have like the higher whatever you can pay for. I think it was like 35 and $25, something like that. But I don't know, man. I'm gonna try to get out there, maybe take my kids out, because there's just a ton of guys on this Ohio State football team that I'm super excited to see how they look on the field, what they're capable of, and kind of where they have them lined up at and stuff. So anyway, I do. We got a couple of things here I want to talk about. A little bit about C.J. Stroud. Obviously, won Rookie of the Year. Awesome for him, man. Like I said, there's not a player in the world that I'm more excited for or happy for because I feel like he was questioned a lot at Ohio State for things that were probably out of his control. So we'll get into some of that, though. I want to get a little update on Michigan, and then some things that Ryan Day had to say in his press conference. And what those things mean going forward. So let's go ahead and get into it. So first, like I said, man, CJ Stroud, just an awesome season, right? Everybody knows, just a phenomenal rookie season. I mean, could have had an argument possibly to be in the MVP conversation if he didn't miss 2 games. But again, just a phenomenal season. And if you're an Ohio State fan, I think most of us probably kind of expected that. I mean, after what he did against Georgia, it was just like, okay, this guy's going to be a superstar. We didn't. He showed things in that one game that we didn't really see from him before, and I mean, I don't know, man. He showed those things in the NFL. So uh, that for Ohio State, it's kind of interesting. Now Ohio State has a Rookie of the Year, and it was like 6 of the last 8 years. I'm just gonna read down the list of some of these guys because they're all gonna be familiar to you guys, and you can see why they won Rookie of the Year because Ohio State's just pumping out talent like that. So it was Joey Bosa 2016, Marshawn Lattimore 2017, Nick Bosa 2019, Chase Young 2020, Garrett Wilson 2022, and C.J. Stroud 2023. And then when you look at 2024, is that I mean the two guys that are really going to have a chance is Marv and Mike Hall Jr. With only those two guys pretty much going to the NFL from the 2023 team, it would be crazy if Ohio State ended up having another Rookie of the Year. Marv could do that, man. We'll see. It just depends on what team he goes to and stuff. But I don't know. The overall point, just again, CJ Stroud, phenomenal kid. I love how every time that he talks in front of the media, he's like, look, my main purpose in life is to spread the word of God. And listen, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's awesome, man. It's awesome for him to have that faith and for him to feel like that's something that he needs to do is spread the word. So I don't know, man. All props to C.J. Stroud, and I guess he gave props to Ohio State and Ryan Day, some other people at Ohio State for some of his success when he accepted his award and did his little speech. So obviously, I love that about him too. He's constantly shouting out Ohio State and Ryan Day. Um, I don't know, man. Again, C.J. Stroud is just great, great human. I love everything that's going on with him right now. So I do want to move on from that. Just wanted to talk a little bit about him winning that award, kind of what it means for Ohio State, because I mean, it's honestly these guys continuing to win these awards is huge for recruiting at Ohio State. If you can bring someone in and be like, hey, look, um, if you come here, you stay here. We're gonna win a whole lot of football games, maybe a championship, and then there's a good shot you could end up being a NFL Rookie of the Year. So I don't know. It's just proof. Proof's in the pudding, right? Anyway, moving on. I do want to talk a little bit about Michigan. So they had kind of breaking news a little bit earlier that Michigan hired Wink Martindale um, as their DC. So this is an NFL guy. Um, I was doing some research on him and found out that he actually worked for Jack Harbaugh. So it's kind of cool, I guess, if you're a Michigan fan, to see that they're sticking within that Harbaugh, like Ravens tree, all that good stuff. This guy, he was the defensive coordinator for the Ravens from 2018 to 2021. and most recently the Giants defensive coordinator from 2022 to 2023. I looked in 23 and they were the 27th best defense in the league. So I don't know. I mean, I think this guy's had success in the past, but most of that came at the Ravens. And I mean, I don't know. The Ravens are typically a really good defensive team. So we'll see if this is a great hire. I seen some Michigan fans that were excited about it. Also noticed that on Twitter, right after this hire was announced, Don Brown started trending on Twitter. So obviously some people think this is like a Don Brown 2.0 situation. I don't know, man. We'll see. Like, I think Michigan is kind of gutted right now. Some of the biggest losses they had this offseason was Harbaugh, obviously, and then their DC, Jesse Minter, their strength and conditioning coach, who multiple people are on record saying that he was a big reason why the culture at Michigan was so strong. So, I mean, I don't know, man. They lose that. They keep Sharon Moore, which I think, credit to them and honestly their AD, who they all seem to hate, but credit to him for the hire that he made in Sharon Moore, because they've basically kept all of their players. Now that could change at any moment. The portal's still open for them, but I mean, if you're a top team won the national championship last year and things are looking as down for you as they are, I can imagine that it's probably tough to keep those guys like Will Johnson and Kenneth Grant, all those guys, to keep them around. They've done a good job of it, so I don't know. We'll see. I still think Ryan Day needs to bomb on this team next year, and honestly, the hiring of Wink Martindale doesn't change my opinion on that. I think that Ryan Day needs to kind of put his foot down and take the Big Ten back, and he has the team to do it. I think he has the coaching staff to do it, so I don't think that there should be any excuses, man. We go into next year, and honestly, I don't think that Ryan Day is really in the spot right now where he's trying to make excuses anyway. He seems like a changed man, which is kind of the topic of the show, right? Is there a new day in Columbus? I wanted to spend a good amount of time and talk about the things that Ryan Day said in his press conference. He talked about a lot of things, and it was kind of cool. It was one of the best press conferences that I've seen. If you haven't had a chance, go find one of the beat guys and or one of their pages or whatever, and check out Ryan Day's press conference. But just a little like some key points in it. The first thing I want to talk about is the way that Ryan Day talked about Caleb Downs. So if you're a fan of Ohio State, when Ohio State got Caleb Downs, you were geeked. You were super excited. You're like, damn, this is crazy. We really just got one of the best players in the country. I can't believe this. Wow, like you never expected it to actually happen. All the momentum was towards Georgia. Ryan Day acted exactly like that to me when he talked about Caleb Downs. He said he got up on the mic and he said that Caleb Downs is a two-time All-American, or not a two-time All-American, second-team All-American. It's going to be hard to beat him out. And then when he talked about him as a player, it was just, I've never seen Ryan Day praise a player as much as he praised Caleb Downs. And honestly, I'm with it, man. Like, he seems like a kid in the candy store in this situation. And he's like, man, I can't believe we just got this piece to work with. And hopefully Jim Knowles will deploy him and let him do a lot of things, because I think he could really change the overall ability of this defense and take it from like elite to like best in the country. And Ryan Day seems to think that too, because I mean he seems super confident in the defense overall. He was saying he even said like Jim Knowles was great in 2022. He was even better in 2023. And I expect him to be even better. Or no, he was like, I guarantee he'll be even better in 2024. So he seems like he is completely bought in that this defense is going to be the best or one of the best in college football. So I love that from him. I mean, I think I agree with him that that's where they'll be at. And they'll be led by guys like Jack Sawyer, who Ryan Day talked about too. He said Jack Sawyer played a big part in bringing guys back. He mentioned some other guys too, but Jack Sawyer was the one that really stood out to me, where he was like, he kind of took a leadership role and told these guys like, look, we need to run this back. We need to go win a championship. This is going to be a special team. So I don't know, man. Like Ryan Day seems like he is in such a good spot and such a confident spot with his team, even down to the offensive line. We're going to talk a little bit more about Bill O'Brien in a minute, but Ryan Day brought up that Bill O'Brien evaluated all the offensive linemen, and the confidence that Ryan Day seems to have in that unit compared to last year when he talked about them is like drastically different. He's like, look, he even said we have the offensive line guys on this team to win a national championship. So eh, I think that Bill O'Brien coming in and even the stuff that he's done so far has been huge for Ryan Day and kind of what he expects going forward. And like I said, we'll get into more with Bill O'Brien here in a minute, but I do want to talk about a couple more things first. Just kind of the quick hitter points, and then we'll get into the ones that we're going to dive a little deeper into. Another thing that Ryan Day talked about was Sonny Styles. He actually, unprompted, brought up Sonny Styles embracing a new role on the team. So maybe that's like a linebacker role, something like that. I don't know. I've kind of been on the boat where I want to see Sonny in that position that he was in last year before Lathan got hurt, which they were moving him around a lot. Sometimes he'd be on the edge, sometimes he'd be in the middle of the field, sometimes he'd be in man coverage, so on and so forth. I kind of wanted to see him back in that role because I feel like he was a big impact player when he was in that position. But if they're going to move him to linebacker, the kid just has to be on the field, right? I mean, you can move him to linebacker and still do multiple things with him. I think Jim Knowles just didn't really show that in the last couple years with Tommy Eichenberg and Steel Chambers. But if you go back and look at some of the things that he did with his linebackers at Oklahoma State, he would use the jack position to kind of free up blitzing lanes for his linebackers. And if Jim Knowles is going to do some stuff like that, I think that Sonny at linebacker could be a problem, could be a real problem. So I hope to see Jim Knowles take that next step in like the defense overall with letting him use the jack position and all that good stuff, because he does a ton with it, and some of it is getting like open lanes for the jack position to run, and some of it is using that jack position to really mix things up for the offensive line, and it allows a lot of like free rushers. So I don't know, man. We'll see. I'm excited about what's coming next year for this defense, regardless whether Sonny ends up being a linebacker or not. I think that having guys like Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, um, hopefully CJ Hicks, just those freak athlete guys, having them on the field, it just opens up so many things you can do. And honestly, the secondary should just be dominant anyway. Jim Knowles, I think, can play a little bit with what he does up front. So, all right, moving on from that, I want to talk about a couple things that we want. We're going to talk about a little bit more than those topics, but these are all from Ryan Day's press conference too. So Ryan Day talked about Bill O'Brien. He said that there's no update on whether Bill will be staying or going. I don't know what's going to happen with that. It may be announced even while I'm doing my show here, so you guys might know something that I don't know already. But it seems like Bill O'Brien is, at the very least, a finalist and probably is at least going to be offered the Boston College job. And then it's going to be up to him on whether he goes or not. A lot of people have speculated that he would automatically go because of like his son having some illness and whatnot, and that being where he's from. But it doesn't seem like the best coaching career move for him, because you would think if he comes to Ohio State, is successful for a year or two, he would add years of experience with a guy like Ryan Day, who's a very highly thought of offensive mind. Then he may be able to get like a better job than BC, but that may be a job that he's always wanted his whole life, with him being from around that area. So we'll see, man. I don't know if he's gonna leave or stay. Most people seem to be leaning towards he's gone now, in terms of like the media and stuff, but they also let it be known that they don't have information on that. They're just guessing. So I do want to talk a little bit about who would be the next offensive coordinator at Ohio State if Bill O'Brien decided to leave. So I think that there's three names that I've heard, and then there's obviously the chance that they could just pull someone from the NFL who is not even a name that's been brought up so far, right? If Ryan Day does that, I would be like, that's cool. I trust you on that, Ryan Day. But the three names that I've heard brought up are Chip Kelly, Jason Candle, and Joe Moorhead. So Chip Kelly is currently the head coach at UCLA. They've kind of let it be known that he's wanting to get out of there. It's kind of Ryan Day's mentor. I wouldn't hate if Chip Kelly came for like the leadership aspect of it for Ryan Day. I don't like that Chip Kelly wouldn't really bring anything new to the running game at Ohio State. I don't think, because a lot of the concepts that Chip Kelly uses are similar to what Ryan Day does. If you go watch the UCLA run game, it looks very similar to Ohio State's, except they have their quarterback pull the ball more, which ultimately does make it more successful. I understand why we were not doing that with Kyle McCord at quarterback, but I do think that Ryan Day is not looking for that style of quarterback anymore. I think that he knows that if he's going to win, he has to be able to run the ball, and for him to run the ball successfully, he's going to need a quarterback that's able to, you know, at least have the threat of taking the ball. Ryan Day talked about that a little bit um, in his press conference about how it is, it makes an impact when you have a quarterback that is a threat to keep the ball. So I don't think that we're going to be going that route anymore. But we'll see. Like I said, Chip Kelly is one of them guys. I'm not going to hate the hire, but I'm not going to be super excited about it either if it happens. Jason Candle is currently the head coach at, uh, Toledo. Currently the head coach at Toledo, and kind of an Ohio guy. I wouldn't hate this hire either. I think he's a good offensive mind. I think that he has the leadership. He's led a team, and you know, Toledo's a good football school. Like, it's not terrible football out there, and a lot of that is because of him. So I don't know. I wouldn't hate that hire either. And kind of the same thing with Joe Moorhead. He was the offensive coordinator at Oregon when they beat Ohio State recently, but currently is the head coach at Akron. Another guy who I think just has a lot of Ohio ties and stuff. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know a ton of his background, but I wouldn't hate that hire either. Like, honestly, if it's not going to be Bill O'Brien, I don't think that anybody's going to make me as excited as the hiring of Bill O'Brien, because generally just because of his attitude and his kind of like straightforwardness that I felt like Ohio State needed. And I don't know that any of these guys are going to be that to Ryan Day. And you can just tell when you listen to Ryan Day talk about Bill O'Brien, it's not like he's talking about Bill O'Brien like Bill O'Brien works for me. He talks about Bill O'Brien like a peer. And he talks about him like, I know that this guy has the football knowledge that I have, and I trust his decision making. He probably has more football knowledge than me because he's been to more places and done more at both levels. So I trust his opinion. And like I said, when he started talking about, like, yeah, Bill O'Brien came in and is evaluating for us. Having him come in and evaluate means that you want him to tell you the things that you can improve on, and you wouldn't ask that to someone who you don't trust. If I'm not just gonna have someone look at my computer who, like my grandma. I'm not gonna have my grandma look at my computer and have her evaluate what's going on with it because she's not tech savvy. I know that she doesn't know as much as me in terms of technology, and that's kind of where how Ryan Day views Bill O'Brien, as he is someone who knows as much or more about football and about being a coach. So hopefully we can keep him. None of these guys are going to excite me like what I think Bill O'Brien can do with this team. I mean, it seems like he's already made an impact. I think that Ryan Day wants him to stay enough where Ohio State will do their best to get him to stay. But the head coaching job is probably going to end up being too much, and we'll get an announcement over the next couple of days that Bill O'Brien's left. And then I don't know, man. Bill O'Brien leaving would also make me wonder if Ryan Day is even going to give up play calling, because in his press conference that he said he needs to do it, but he said that last year too. And then when they said, like, yeah, since you've given up play calling, he was like, wait, I haven't done it yet. And he seemed like he was joking, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. You could tell he's apprehensive about doing it. And I don't blame him, being one of the best play callers in the country. So, all right, the last thing I want to talk about here before we get out of here um, is the quarterbacks. Ryan Day talked a little bit about what he's expecting from this quarterback room. People asked him, like, Will Howard presents himself as a starter. Is he the starter? Ryan Day didn't say he was. He just said, I hope that all the quarterbacks in that room present themselves that way. And he said, Will Howard came here to play football, which, listen, absolutely. That's a fifth-year guy. He came here to take the starting job. I don't believe that Ryan Day this year will promise anyone the starting job. I think that you're going to have to win it. think that you're going to have to win over the entire coaching staff in order to get that job because you know this year is do or die, and I think it's like that at all positions at Ohio State. I think that you're going to compete, and if your job, if someone is better than you, then they're going to take your job. That's kind of where I've stood at it the whole time. It's just a matter of is Ryan Day going to do that or not, and I think that he will this year. And then Ryan Day talked about Devin Brown a little bit too. He just talked about his leadership and how he was a great leader, and he said he's been doing really well since he came back from his injury recently. He had to rehab and whatnot. So he did talk a little bit about Lincoln Kienholz too. He just basically Ryan Day is excited what Lincoln Kienholz can do with an entire offseason. He said Lincoln's never had a spring here, which Lincoln came in the summer. It makes sense why he wasn't ready when it was time. And Day said he talked to Lincoln's family about it anyway. That he's going to be a little bit behind because he stayed back in high school to play basketball and baseball. So I don't know. He did. Ryan Day seemed excited about the young guys that he has on roster at quarterback too, with Aaron Noland and Julian Sayin. He talked about Julian Sayin being like, he's like, I don't want to call it a once in a lifetime get, but he was like, obviously it's a unique situation where we had to decide if we were going to take this kid or not. And I think Ryan Day was genuinely questioning himself on whether he should or not. And all Ohio State fans were like, dude, if you can get Julian Sayin, get him. And I think that's kind of just where you have to be with your players, right? I think Ryan Day had to go to Aaron Nolan and be like, look, we brought you in because we love what you're capable of. We love what what your potential is. Bottom line, I'm the head coach of Ohio State. I have to do what's best for this team. I have to bring in, if I can get a chance to bring in a quarterback of this caliber, I have to bring him in. And we're just going to compete, man. If you can beat him, then you'll be the starter. And that's just how he had to level with him. And so I think that this spring and this summer is going to be huge to decide kind of which one of those guys is ready to take the next step. And Ryan Day he kept mentioning over and over again about how this is going to be the most competitive spring that he's ever been a part of at Ohio State. So what that tells me is that Ryan Day thinks that he has starting caliber players in his two deep that are going to compete with his starters, and he's going to give those guys a chance to compete to try to win those jobs. So I don't know, man. I'm excited. Ryan Day just seems super confident, like a different person. Obviously, the comment's been made multiple times that Ohio State and Ryan Day are just moving different this offseason, and I think that is the case. I hope they continue doing that. I do want to shout out to, I just saw on Twitter earlier that the foundation, which is like the main NIL group for Ohio State, they recently did a thing where they had a donor, or they were willing to match every donation that was made, and they made like $1 million because they made 500,000 and then matched the 500,000. They just announced on Twitter that they are doing another match, and I think it goes all the way until the spring game or something like that, up to 600,000. They have someone who's willing to match that. So if you guys haven't already, go check out the foundation, donate if you can. Obviously, that's how we keep this team on a roll, is by making sure that NIL is there, and the fan base has been doing great with that. Obviously, the guys who are getting the money together are doing a phenomenal job too. So go check that out. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap the show up here, though. Got some stuff I got to do today. I'm not gonna promise you guys a daily show anymore. I'm not even gonna lie about it. I've been so busy in my family life, but at least 2 or 3 times a week I'll be on here. I'll go live just because I enjoy doing that in case people want to hop in the chat. But if you're not getting to watch it live, let me know in the comments what you think about the things we talked about today, and who do you think will be the offensive coordinator once it's all said and done. So, all right, peace out, guys. You guys have a great day. See you later.